Okay. Hello again. It is my pleasure to introduce Anita, who came all the way from Brazil to talk about how to kickstart a game community there. Please say hi.
Hello, everyone. I hope I don't forget anything I have to say. This is my first time speaking for a crowd in English. So my presentation is called Meet and Glitch, because Glitch is one of the festivals I'm going to talk about. And a little bit about me. I'm not a game developer. This is the first question everybody asks here. If you're not a game developer, I'm not. I'm actually a graphic artist and a game enthusiast, and I've been working with the indie dev community for almost a decade now. So, but at the moment, I'm actually a professor in a university. But that's okay, I'll just stop introducing myself. First, I don't know if any of you ever went to Brazil, but first, it's far. Second, it's a really large country. It's the largest country of South America. And we have lots of people, around 200 plus million people there. And where I come from, my state is called São Paulo. São Paulo is the most populous state, over 45 million people there, just the state. And it is the largest economy of my country. But even though it's the largest economy, it's not like a first world economy or anything like that. But what happens is that more than half of the game studios are actually based in São Paulo. This map is actually Brazil, and all these points are in São Paulo. Those are game companies. And this is because everything is easier there, because we have more money, we have more funding, we have access to specialized labor, we have some infrastructure. Well, here is São Paulo, as you can see. We don't have a lot of game companies there, so if you're just looking and thinking, oh, each point's probably, I don't know, 100 companies, it's not. As you may know, Brazil is not a developed country, and there isn't a video game industry actually in my country. There are people that are making video games, but the larger companies are actually specialized in serious games, advert games, and things like that. People that are making art games, authorial games, entertainment games, everything that we really like, they are not inside any large company. So what happens? Lots of people leave my country. Lots of people that make games leave my country. So great part of my friends are scattered around the world. Some of them are here in France. Some of them are in Germany, Sweden, Finland, London, and some of them are in Canada. Actually, lots of them are in Canada. And people that make the games we really are passionate about, they usually don't work with games as a primary source of income. They work in other areas, and they make games. Those are a few games that I find very interesting. They are indie games. Every game that you will see coming out of Brazil is an indie game, because, as I said before, we don't have an industry. So if you want to know more about Brazilian games, come talk to me after this. I'll be really glad to tell you about everything. But actually, the history of game dev meetups and events is intertwined with the production of indie games, because there wasn't any indie games before 2010, more or less. And then we decided, I say we because I was one of the organizers of the first game jam that we held, especially in Brazil, the first Brazilian game jam. It was called SP Jam, SP because of São Paulo. And then we started to have international festivals, like a big festival. I don't know if any one of you ever heard of that, but in Brazil, all the game designers know, and a few people from other countries already sent games there. And this festival is held by our Municipal Secretary of Culture. So it's a government thing. It's not a indie dev thing. And after that, we started to making some meetups, some monthly meetups. And we started with Spin, which is SP Indies. Yeah, we really like to use SP, as in São Paulo, everything. The first part of this meetup happened between 2013 and 2015, and it was very casual. It was held in a bar or something like that. We have gameplays, game tests, and some talks, but it was really casual. The goal was to build, in fact, a community, people that would know each other and work with each other and be friends with each other. And then in 2015, the same Secretary of Culture took the organization of Spin, and then we have now Spin 2.0. This one is the first Spin. It was really crowded, and everybody was there, and there was many games to play, but we couldn't even talk to each other because it was really crowded. And now it's like this, it's like lectures. So we have a place, we have some funding. I'm not, I say we because I'm used to say we, but I don't have anything to do with that. It's a government thing now. So it's more organized, business-driven. It's about networking and presenting things very bureaucratically. But we lost a feel of our spontaneity. So this is big. The festival we have, it's usually not really crowded, but it has lots of interest. Well, so Big and Spin now are held by the same organization, and they are very much alike in some senses. They have this business-driven goal, and people were stopping to know each other and to make games together. And they're going there. We have an audience, but they are usually very passive in relation to that. So the indies were losing space inside of those meetups and festivals because there wasn't any actually place for creative work. It was something really focused on marketing, publishers, and things like this. So we kind of boycotted the big festival, and we created another festival called Festa da Firma Game Dev. Festa da Firma is something like a happy hour game dev. So it's a pun with Brazilian words. We do a lot of this, a lot of puns. And we created it in 2018. It's a very chilled, very casual meetup for people to make friends. So this is how we do things in Festa da Firma. And we are going to have a festival, actually. Our inspirations for festivals are always IndieCade and Amaze Fest. So we'll be like poor cousins of this kind of events because we have like no money. But our focus, our main focus is for people to play, to learn, to teach, and to have fun. So it's going to be next month, I hope. I can send you pictures. And we decided to make a collective of these meetups, these collectives. So in every state of Brazil, we have some kind of meetup. So we wanted to know them, to know these people, to know those devs, those organizers. So we made an open network called Glitch Mundo that we're very focused on connecting those existing game and arts events. And together we held not a festival called Glitch Festa. We held two times this festival, and we showcase indie games, we have talks, and we have our zine that's called GD Dump, actually. It's something that Brazilians hate to do GDDs, like game design documents. So we did game design documents in the form of an independent publication. So I wanted to bring some GD dumps for you, but I don't have them anymore. We only had a few, and this is our program. And the main goals of Glitch Festa is to exchange experience, exchange games and talents, and collectively make actions, and to hold events and other type of initiatives like meetups, jams, and other things like this. This is one of the Glitch Festa's pictures that I took. And we have like my favorite meetup of all. It's DEVS. It's also a pun. It's a Brazilian thing. We call everyone that's a friend miga, but it's actually LGBTQ thing to say. We don't talk to each other normally in saying migas, but when we are among friends, among LGBTQ friends and girlfriends, we talk to each other saying migas. So Dev Migas, it's because of that. Actually, it's a meetup only for people that doesn't identify themselves as cis male. That's, I think, the only thing that we don't embrace, because every other single event only embrace cis male developers. So we work in two fronts, actually: the social part, which is like every other meetup, and the professional guidance, that we help people to start jobs in game design, procure courses, and build their own communities. So we have like this thing that actually we are a community of almost 200 people now, and it's going pretty well, and it's my favorite meetup of all. And we are also part of Glitch Mundo. And basically, I really enjoy also organizing and thinking about and talking about all these meetups and these events and these jams, because to me it's very relevant to analyze them. That's how we create and we support our local community. In São Paulo, since 2013, we always have meetups, like monthly, or Dev Migas, it's more eventual. It's not every month, and annually we now have a few other festivals. I believe they are very flexible, affordable, and impactful actions for a local game scene. We have like a very short story. We actually, in Brazil, we stand a few decades before you and every other developed country with a developed game industry. But it was actually because of those events, those meetups, that we have what we have now as a video game production. So it's basically that. I don't know if I was too fast with my presentation. I thought I was going to take a really long time, but as you can see, I'm very nervous. I just want to thank you very much, all of you that are here hearing about a country that's like miles away from you. And I want to thank the IndieCade organizers. They do a really great job organizing IndieCade, and I'm very honored to be here. And that's it. If you want to ask me anything, that's the time. Well, any questions? No questions? I guess nobody is going to talk about Brazil. We could talk about my president. Everybody hates him.
I wanted to ask about the big festival, because years ago I worked on a couple games that were nominated. So I did, but I don't know a lot about the festival. I don't know if before maybe it was more indie focused, or now it's changed to be more business, or
it's indie focused, but it's usually now they changed a bit because of that thing that happened. We really talked to the organizers, but until 2017 they were heading to more they wanted to professionalize indie game dev, I guess. So everything was around, if you went to the talks, every talk was about business, marketing, was about how to monetize your game, never how to create more games, how to make better games, anything like this. We, since it's an international award, so it has this award, the indie devs in Brazil were lacking a place to present their games, because we were looking at the curatorship of the games, and every single year the same Brazilian game designers were being nominated, and there wasn't any student prize, any student award. So every new game designer are going to compete with more seasoned game designers. So that was the issue, actually.
Did the boycott help bring about any sort of change? Or?
Actually, the boycott helped to the organization started to talk to the other organizers of meetups and more indie-driven events. And the first Glitch Mundo was supposed to be a response to that, so we organized another event to run with them. And the big organizers, they understood, and they helped us with a few spaces for us to present our talks from Glitch Mundo inside the big festival. So now we are partners, actually.
So there's hope, you think?
Yes, there's really hope, because now we have not 1 or 2 festivals. We are heading for our 3rd festival in São Paulo. And this is really amazing, because it's first of all, Brazil is huge. And we have people that love video games and make video games. So there isn't a reason for us to have only 1 festival. And now we're heading for our 3rd festival, the 3rd annual festival. And this is very hopeful. And the big organizers, they understand everything, and they are giving their support. And so we are like the artsy brothers and sisters of Big. So they are being really supportive.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Obrigado por falar do Brasil.
Você é brasileiro?
Eu sou mesmo. Então, meio brasileiro. Então, tenho essa sorte de poder estar aqui. Mas I wanted to ask you if you know how much the budget cuts that are enforced on the cultural development are having an impact on indie development.
It's having a huge impact, actually. I don't know if you all know, but our presidents and all other governors and things like that, they are cutting our budget for arts, culture, technology, and for our universities. So it's this year, there wasn't any funded projects in game design. There wasn't just actually projects that were funded last year, last government. So they were approved. And they always say, oh, no, it was approved last year, so we have money. If this year they haven't approved anything, any event, any game, any project at all. So we're having actually a very serious crisis in the arts and culture department in Brazil.
Thank you.
I'm curious about how the government got involved in all this. Like specifically SPIN, the first year was organized by the community and then transferred over to the government. How did this happen?
Yes, it's actually because when you organize an event, I don't know if that happens here, but I believe so. There are people that are really involved, so we embrace everything, and then it's not something that's going to bring us back any kind of money. We are going to invest our money in those events. We don't have, in Brazil, it's super hard to have any kind of sponsor, any kind of funding. So the people that were organizing SPIN, they got really tired of working for free for so long and started to disappear one by one. And then the people that lasted, they were invited by the Secretary of Culture to bring SPIN to them. And we did, okay, so you're going to they held the meetups for quite a while, for many years. So our part is done. We started a meetup, and then someone else is keeping it alive. So that's why we gave SPIN to this our district, because they can afford it. Anyone else? You wanted to?
Hi, thank you again for the talk.
Thank you.
One of the, maybe this is my own ignorance, but my understanding with Brazil in general is that the reason why you're behind is, I think, it was in the 70s or the 80s, there was heavy import duties on consumer electronics in the country. And is that something that's, still the case nowadays? Is that?
I don't get it. Can you repeat?
So basically buying things like games consoles from overseas is very expensive in Brazil. At least that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yes, it is. It is really expensive.
So my question, I guess, is then, is there any signs of that changing, or?
Probably not. Not now, at least, because actually with the crisis, every company is leaving Brazil now. It was a cheap place to build companies there, foreigner companies, but now everybody is leaving. So we have very expensive importation taxes. That's why electronics are so expensive in Brazil, because they are seen as a luxury. And I don't think this is going to change now, but there is another part, is that games are seen, Brazil is a very conservative country, and we are very Christian country, actually. And games are seen like addictive things. So until a few years ago, a video game was seen just like as a casino game. So the society was a little bit against it. We used to have a Brazilian company that started making video games in the 80s, but this company closed in the early 2000s, and they were making consoles and games, but now we don't have it anymore. But I don't think this is the only reason that we are so behind. I believe the reason we are so behind is because our government doesn't see culture as something necessary, and doesn't understand arts, culture, and science and technology as one thing. So we don't have any investment, any funding, anything. I believe is that. That's the case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going back to you said that Brazil is still a conservative party country, and so I was a bit taken by the fact that you have a space for LGBTQ and women in the indie community, which is really good. Do you think that because a video game is seen as something that is not important or addictive, do you think that people go and find a refuge in it, and that's why you have this community, LGBTQ and women community inside the indie game community in Brazil?
Actually, Brazil is very conservative and very machista, yes, very male-centric. And we are the country that kills LGBTQ people more in the world. So our community is very closed, and the moment you say, oh my God, I'm trans, I'm gay, everybody comes together, and and it doesn't depend if you're a game designer or if you were a cleaner or a professor or anything. So we have this community so close, so tight together because of that. It's because of we are seen more or less like a family of our own. I think this is a little bit, this is global, I guess, but in Brazil it's really important because we are being threatened all the time. So in the game community, I teach a college course, and I have over 100 students, and I have 7 girls and 1 trans boy in my classes. So that's the ratio of the thing. So we have, every time I say in the college, oh, I'm going to hold an event, it's for LGBTQ people and for women, and they say, oh my God, but isn't that prejudice? Because all of the boys are going to want to be part of this. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, because the boys have everything else and we have this. So I believe the community is close because people see as a family. So it's very soothing to be a part of this.
Thank you.
So I have to go now. Anything else?
I'm going to help you unplug.